Hi, Tamara Stanley here. I want to share with you my week 5 discussion, which is ethical considerations for our research. Before I begin giving you my considerations, I'll give you a quick overview of the research. I am working at a school in Cambodia, Phnom Penh, Cambodia, where we have pre-K 3 through 12th grade, but I'm only involved in 6th through 12th grade. And so our research will actually be specifically happening in secondary. Our goal is to implement standards-based grading. And so this research specifically will be looking at, does standards-based grading develop a reflective learner? Meaning, do our students reflect more and understand what are they learning, what do they know, and how much they've progressed? So I'm going to look at what our considerations are regarding ethics. The first category is participants. First, obviously, we have a lot of people participating, all of the students, some teachers, not all of the students, but full classes of students. And so those students will be minors. So we will need to get permissions from the student and from the parent. And when we are looking for permission, we need to be very careful that we let them know what is our purpose, how will this data be used, that they are participating in research, and also really emphasizing that they are not required to participate. They can decline. And so we just really want to encourage that so that they don't feel forced. And this actually relates to point B, the power imbalances. Because it is a school, I mentioned in my notes here the cultural norms. I feel like that's important because in Southeast Asia, there is a strong level of hierarchy and respect for elders, respect for position. And so we don't want anyone to feel that they have to participate because of their position. So it will be an interesting situation because I will actually be principal beginning in July. So by the time we are actually following through on this research, I will be principal of the school. So you have multiple levels of hierarchy here. It is my research project. And so as the leader of the school, the teachers who want to participate in the research, I want them to feel like they have a choice. It's not that they have to do it. Also, the students may feel that they have to do it because their teacher asked them to. And I have a very good relationship with many of the students because I've been their math teacher for at least 1 or 2 years now. I've taught several grade levels, and so the students know me. And so I don't want them to feel any negativity or pressure regarding whether or not they participate. So I really do feel like we need to be aware of the possible power imbalances and making sure that they feel comfortable with the situation. And then I think the last thing as far as participants goes, because I am the person conducting the research, along with the other people who will be joining me, I'm the leader of the research. I have a personal bias because I really do believe in the method of standards-based grading, and I want the research to have a positive outcome, right? I want to show that standards-based grading can produce what I desire in the students. And so I just think that that needs to be something that I'm conscious of in my mind, and I can do my best to mitigate that influence. So the second thing, the site of the research, there was a note in Creswell and Creswell, their book, I just went blank on the title of the book, Research Design, I apologize. And they said, select a site without vested interest. And I wondered, how does this statement relate to action research? Because action research is specifically where the person who is developing this research to answer a specific problem in their context. And so how do you have a site without vested interest? I did make a note here at the bottom. There's no financial attachment. There's no accreditation or any requirement that makes us have a particular desire for the outcome, just more the fact that, as I note in point B, the head of education wants this method to be implemented. She comes from a British background and they are much more standards-based than America. And our particular school is American-based education. So we currently use the standard percentage grades. And so she has a vested interest in the idea that she desires this to happen. And so I'm not sure of the connection with action research. I would love to hear some feedback on that. Because in our case, obviously, there is a vested interest in the sense that we want this to be successful in our school. And then in my third point is the use of data. We need to be careful in various ways. First of all, our school is a small community. Even outside of our school with parents, teachers, everyone, the community is very well connected. And so I think that it makes it harder to protect the identity of the participants. Because even in our normal circumstances, if you're sharing a story of something that happened, or maybe you just want to talk about a challenge or a struggle, many people in the room will know who you're talking about. And so it's, really hard sometimes to decide, are you better off to just make the identification and then everything is in the open and you're not trying to be secretive, but you can be respectful? Or do you maintain anonymity and ask everyone, if you know the person that we're speaking that was involved in this situation, just let's let them keep their privacy. Let's not identify it to everyone. And let's just look at the actual facts of the situation and not make it a connection to the person. So I think that's a fine balance anyway, and it's something that we need to be careful of in our research. Creswell and Creswell make suggestions. One, disassociate names from responses, and so that way you don't see the name that went along with it, and also using aliases or pseudonyms for individuals and places. I do believe that we would not use a pseudonym for the place because all of our research is happening at our school, and we're doing it for the purpose of our school. But it could be useful for individuals. And I believe that I read somewhere, and I kept searching for it. I thought it was in Action Research, but I could not relocate the point. But one thing that I read was referring to in qualitative research, you can, when summarizing, you can use parts of different stories and sort of mingle them together to make different points. And that makes it more difficult to identify the specific person that you're referring to, but it's still valid information because you're using specific evidence from different stories. So I'm not sure if that is something that we could do, but also I will continue to look for further information on that to confirm if I did in fact read that, if it's perhaps a good or bad idea. And then the last thing at the bottom, point B, also need to be mindful of interpreting results accurately and without focusing on positives. As I mentioned previously in the consideration for participants, I do want this to work. My supervisor, the head of education, wants this to work. And so we could have a bias and a tendency to only focus on the positives. Also, we're involving our students and our teachers. And so of course we want everything to be wonderful and sound great. And so we need to just be mindful of that and be careful that we include all the data that we find. And then interpreting results, I was reminded of Creswell and Creswell's point about avoiding going native, avoiding taking the side of the participants in the research. So in this case, avoid taking the side of our students. And so I think that those things are that we need to be mindful of. And fortunately, Action Research has provided plenty of suggestions on how to reduce any impact of these considerations and also maintain proper ethics. And so my final slide is my reference. All of this information that I referenced and the ideas that I had came from Creswell and Creswell's book, Research Design. Thank you for hearing my ethical considerations, and I look forward to your feedback.